Hey TI family, Christina Marie back with another video. About to break things down. So the TI community will have especially the new TIs, the younger TIs, which is very painful to witness, how they have such young individuals in here. It's disgusting. Like, they would even target younger individuals. They're so weak. Cowards, to prey on a weaker individual. But really going to try to break this down. So hopefully everybody will understand what's going on. So it's kind of a process, and this applies to TIs, I think, on a larger scale when they roll this technology out for humanity, which they've already done, and they're not aware. And they really started with things like Facebook profiles, Facebook, counterintelligence, started that, took over. They allowed Mark Zuckerberg to create the platform, lead the way, and then they took over. It's all, I'll get into like the whole karmic debt and all that stuff later on another video, to better expose the enemy. But a lot of TIs, it's a process where they'll come in to get the victim to trust them in some way. They'll usually claim they're U.S. military, CIA, act like some form of law enforcement, and that's usually so they can get in the door and root themselves into the victim's conscious mind, into their brain. And once they make basically a home, that's when all hell breaks loose, and a targeted individual experiences so many levels of targeting in so many areas, because they really, I think it has a lot to do with experimentation and trying to find basically the perpetrator's niche in that home of the targeted individual's mind. So whatever works on the victim, they're going to apply it and use it as a tool to benefit them. I'm speaking about the perpetrators. Now, a target individual is going to experience a lot of trauma on the brain, a lot of trauma abuse on the mind, psychological abuse, emotional oppression. If you're part of their sex programming, such as Monarch Beta, they're going to use a lot of tactics like pacifying, and they usually do this with a male handler, directed towards a female victim. They'll pacify the victim a lot. And this is all about programming, and it's done over a period of time. It's very sneaky. I mean, them being snakes is exactly how you define them, just snakes. But over a period of time, because of the abuse and the trauma, and they know how they're able to manipulate other people, a victim will go into explaining themselves, explanation mode. Sorry, tongue twister. Explanation mode, where they're constantly explaining their actions, the way that they feel, and defining why they feel the way that they do, actually defining their emotions, using words and actually breaking it down. Now, this is part of not only, I think, multivalence thinking, which a victim is subjected to, a new way of thinking that is more artificial. It's like artificial intelligence. So this is where the humanoid, I think, comes into play, where they get a person to really define things from a more artificial intelligence perspective rather than organically. So I'll try to make a perfect example. So say, God, how can I describe this? So say you said something like, this is probably a stupid example, like you crossed paths with a friend and they were blonde and they dyed their hair red. Normally you'd express yourself just freely, just organically. Like maybe you want to save their feelings and you didn't like it. You'd be like, yeah, it looks real nice. But now that you have this new way of thinking, which is more artificial intelligence, and now that you're a target individual, you look at it from a different perspective. You want to make sure that you have all your I's dotted and your T's crossed when you have any kind of encounter with any individual. I hope this makes sense, you guys. I'm trying to stay on track. It's really hard and difficult for me to break it down because it is more artificial intelligence than it is just human beings' natural expression and being expressive. The individual who is a target individual and has been connected to this technology might say something like, you know, it's you know, really, really pretty, and but you know, red's kind of not your color, and they just go into this whole spiel. That was a horrible example, you guys, of, you know, explaining why they feel the way that they feel about their hair color. This is how the AI works. You're constantly explaining. It's like a new way of learning, a new way of expression because of your engagement with AI. The AI bases everything on response. It needs a response. It needs engagement. And it's really... it's hard for me to put in words. I'm having a really hard time, and this really sucks because I really want to nip it in the bud and expose it. So going into expressive detail, like really breaking things down, the ups and downs about this technology is the multivalent thinking has really assisted me on my journey, for example, into breaking the enemy's tactics down and breaking everything down. But at the same time, my expressions are no longer as organic. Like, my natural feelings are not as organic as they were before. It comes across as more humanoid, where I'm constantly breaking things down, explaining in details as to what is this, what is that, why I feel the way that I feel, and how I'm feeling the way that I feel, like exactly where it's coming from, like even the location of my body and how it's making, like I can actually pinpoint signals and stuff like that coming from certain parts of my brain. Instead of becoming organically familiar with my body, it seems like because of this technology, I'm becoming more technical with my body. I hope that makes sense. I'm having like the hardest time, so I'm hoping another TI can step up to the plate and help me break this down, because I really want to get this information out. I have yet to hear, and I'm not taking credit. Here's the explanation part. I'm not taking credit because of my ego. Okay, so I don't know what this guy is doing, but I'm just going to go around him because he obviously needs me to get out of his way. But the constant explanation of breaking things down, where it's not making excuses, it is truth, but I'm literally breaking these explanations, my thoughts, and my emotions down to the T. So I hope this helps you guys, but I think this is where the humanoid comes in. What they're trying to reel out on the entire world, unfortunately. And it's for full control. They want to have full control, so everybody's connected to this beast system. A lot of people are still walking around with their heads up their asses thinking that this is really far-fetched. But we are in Revelations right now. So if you don't believe, like, I don't know what to tell you. Continue to live in your, you know, your mind prison. That's fine. And this is what's going to happen to the world, unfortunately. So I love you guys. I hope that makes sense. I did the best that I could as far as breaking it down, excuse me. But I love you guys. Stay strong on your battlefield.